There we go. Now we're transitioning.
So are you giving him 20 minutes? Just
Ron, where's
Younger.
Ron Younger? Where are you? Right there. We have a gift for you. He's right here in the blue. Okay. Careful going off. There's no steps on that side. Just.
when you introduce Jason, he sees the clock.
Where is he? Oh, come on up, Jason. All right. How'd you guys like that panel? I love it. There were some great takeaways on systems, processes, do's, don'ts. This young man has no trouble with that giant step. You could probably just jump straight up. All right. So how many of you guys have been at Quest or at NewView for years, right? Me, myself included. I'm still there. And went through the transition with Inspira. How many are smiling with that transition? I'm joking. You guys, come on, lighten up. Well, Jason is running a good chunk of Inspira. He's based here in Florida, just outside of Orlando. And so I've asked him to present both as a sponsor and tie into lending from a self-directed IRA perspective. But then he's going to be around and be able to help you with Q&A as well. So how about on your feet, a loud deal maker. Round of applause, please, for Jason. Thank you. Is this all ready?
No slides.
Okay.
Yeah, no slides.
Oh, no slides. Good. I like.
I'm loud I am loud normally, but really loud now. Everyone can hear me all the way in the back? I see head shaking no. Yes, thumbs up. Awesome. Well, thank you. Let me start. I did bring tissues up. I hope I'm not brought to tears today, but I do suffer from very bad allergies, and I don't know what the cleaning products are used in this hotel, but they have been on fire today, so forgive me if I step aside for a random sneeze here and there. For those that don't know me, I came to Inspira through NewView Trust Company. I was part of that team that built that company for 19 years. We sold it in November of 2023 to Inspira, and since then I was asked to lead the self-directed IRA business. We started that process, and we started mapping out integration on NewView. We set a 12 to 18-month goal. We started building things out, and then we got a call about an opportunity from a company out of Texas. Quincy, Nathan, the whole gang there was all very good friends. I had known them for a long, long time. We started as Entrust. I sat in Quincy's office and learned UBIT from him, and we used to exchange calls on all kinds of things. So as many of you know or maybe don't know, that was a little bit of a shotgun wedding, right? There was some things that had to move very quickly. And so what we mapped out over 12 to 18 months, we in turn crumpled that piece of paper up and said, how do we make this happen on the Quest side, and how do we do it before the end of the year, right? That is not an excuse, but I want everyone to at least understand where we are. That integration process has not gone the way any of us want it. So I am a big believer in measure twice, cut once. You guys know that. We measured once, cut once, right? Now, for those of you that are familiar with that term, the idea is like, yeah, you don't want to go back and recut because it's the smallest cuts that are hardest. We are dealing with an integration challenge right now due to lots of tiny cuts that we're trying to make. So let me start by saying we own it. As the leader of the business, I own it, and the team is working around the clock. Now, that doesn't give you solace when you're on the phone waiting for someone to answer. It doesn't give you solace when you're waiting for an email response, but I can assure you, coming 20 years in this industry and coming from NewView, where we ran our business a lot like Quest, I would not have taken this role for us to just become a big black hole, right? There's other things that I can do. I was part of the selling group, right? My desire to stay was to build what I believe to be the safest, most financially secure alternative asset custodian that exists. We've got the horsepower and firepower of a massive company in Inspira Financial. Unfortunately, we've stalled out. Now, I've shared this with a few of you. Unlike a restaurant, when the kitchen gets behind, eventually the customers leave, right? Everybody catches their breath, and you start the next day and say, let's be better. In our world, when the kitchen gets behind, the orders never stop coming in, right? And so the other thing is we can't just go to our sister restaurants and grab more chefs and grab more cooks and grab more servers. While they have some knowledge of those basic functions, they don't know how to cook our pasta, right? And in the alternative world, while we have 3,000 employees at Inspira and we're leveraging a good portion of those, we got to train them. We got to give them updates on the systems. We got to get them access. We got to get them vetted because we're a financial institution and we don't take that responsibility lightly. All of those things take, unfortunately, time. So believe me, if this is painstaking for you, rest assured, me and my team aren't sleeping. Don't feel bad for us, but just I want you to understand we genuinely want to do right by you as customers. For those that have been loyal NewView customers for 19 years, we've serviced our customers with that exact same approach. But we are behind. I can't make any bones about it. But here's what I'm prepared to do today because I want you guys to know how much it matters to me. Grab your pen, grab your phone. You guys can write down my cell phone number. I will ask that you text me. And the only reason I ask that you text me is for a few reasons. Number one, I can copy and paste that directly to my ops team. You don't want me playing the game of telephone. My wife will tell you I'm a terrible listener and I'm an even worse communicator, right? So if you have an issue, I need something done, I need it done tomorrow, today, I can't get a hold of someone, help. If you send me that text, it will be sent to a dedicated team to respond. 407-221-0770. 407-221-0770. Now here's what I will ask. In me saying, pour it on me, right? I will just ask, before you hit send on the text, ask, is my message conveying the appropriate level of importance? Does everyone understand what that means? Look around at your fellow investors. You're saying, I deserve to be in line in front of whomever's at your table because it's that important. If you believe that way, hit send. If you're going, you know what, the difference between this being done on Thursday or Friday doesn't change my life, but it can't be done later than Friday, convey that. Is that fair? But if you give me what you need, what the time frame is, any information that helps me help the team, right? Please don't say, this is Bill, I'm trying to make an investment, can you get it done tomorrow? Right? We have lots of bills, lots of investments. Like, please be specific, but I promise you, if you send it to me, my goal and desire is to, I hate processing, and my team can tell you this, and I preach it all the time. We cannot process based on the loudest screaming client. That's not a way to run a business. But at the same time, I also fully understand and recognize you're not trying to be a screaming client. You just want to be heard. So where do we stand today? Well, where we stand today is, thankfully, from an integration standpoint, we've checked off the boxes to meet regulatory requirements. That's important, right? Remember I said it was a shotgun wedding. We had to answer to the state of Texas, and we had to have certain requirements that were met, certain timelines, certain things. We've checked all those boxes. That's critical, right? That may not mean much to you, but understand that's an important part of the process. Everything is over, and we have a dedicated team working on some of the bugs and fixes in data discrepancies. So when you think about what that looks like, System A, System B, they were not built and designed together. So in 5 months, we did as much as we could to say A equals A, B equals B, C equals C. But when you put it all together, right, and Quest had nearly 20,000 account holders, right, like 40 or 50,000 individual assets, when you put it all together, not everything lines up. And so we have solved what we believe we call the 98%, right, which is what's the 98% of the stuff that all looks the same? We feel very comfortable that those items have been resolved. The 2%, which may affect a handful of you, especially if you're in similar types of investments, those are the ones that our team is diligently trying to track down. What's the cause? Is it missing data? Right? Do we need to go get it out of the system? Is the data in the system, but it's not displaying in the right way? But that 2% is what we're working through. So if you want to use that same cell phone number, if there's just something that this isn't pressing from a standpoint of, I need this funded yesterday, but hey, let me call this out. The more info we get, the more we can determine if we fix the problem for one or if it impacts more customers. Right? Our team is working diligently through that. We have resources coming online every day. I shared this with a few of you guys earlier. Like in our world, we kind of compartmentalize it. I'm going to use a round number of 10. Like there's 10 areas of our business. Now you may interface with 2 or 3 of those at any one time, one of them or all 10. Of those different areas, they could range from deposits to new accounts to transfers to, new purchases, right? And there's some subcompartments inside of that. We are at about what I would call 6 to 10 in stabilization. So what does that mean? It means roughly 6 of the 10 areas we compartmentalize our business, we feel stable. Now, I'll be the first to tell you stable's not good enough, but stable's better than unstable. So we have to crawl before we walk, before we jog, before we sprint. So when I say stable, that means that team is working through their case volume, right, which is how we track this stuff, in a meaningful way. It means we're not training necessarily new people. We're burning that list down. We have more stuff coming out than coming in. That's what I mean by stable, right? It doesn't mean that we're not working to get more efficient, faster, better, all of those things that are important. But when I say stable, it means that we're not looking at it from a standpoint of what else do we need to do to solve this problem. We're saying, stay the course, and we have a good idea that the problem is, very near to a point of feeling like it's been resolved. 3 or 4 areas, we're still in what I would call unstable. That means that if you look at any 1 week period, there could be more coming in than's going out. Now, those items are in the most technical areas of our business, deposits being one of them. And I know for a lot of you that's near and dear to you, and I totally get it. Right? For me, it's like our core. People send us money, we need to deposit it. Identifying assets of where stuff comes and where stuff goes for assets from legacy account holders is new to a lot of our staff, right? So as we bring people in, when we get a check, how we search that in our system is different than how it was searched in the former systems. So what may have been an easy check with a little bit of info for us to keystroke, that data isn't as searchable, right? The team is working to ensure that it can be there, but when we're working in third-party trust software systems, like we don't just go say, make that easier for us, right? We have to submit requests, it has to be mapped out, it has to be tested, and then it has to be deployed. Again, these are not excuses. I'm being incredibly transparent with you guys on where we are. But from a deposit standpoint, we recognize, I would say that's probably the biggest area that the team is focused on, but also the biggest area that's probably causing you guys the most challenges. Some of the other ones are transfers in, right? That's a big one. We do a lot of that. And so money movement, which in some ways is deposits. The new account process, thankfully, is starting to get caught up, but that's another one that we're working to get fully stabilized. There's a lot more moving parts to bring an account into the system, and so making sure all that's lined up. All of that is to say, number one, on behalf of the business, I'm sorry. I wish it were easier. I wish it were better. I wish that there was not a single challenge or issue. Believe me, our team doesn't want to have to go through the process to try to fix all these things while you guys are paying the price for it, right? That's not the type of business we are. It's not the type of business we want to run. Number two, we are getting closer to stabilization across 10 out of 10. Will we be there tomorrow? No, right? If I could tell you yes with confidence, believe me, I would. Do I think we're inside of 30 days? Yes. Right? Meaning some areas already are looking much better, some areas are fully stable, some areas will be back to normal routine processing. The last item that we're really trying to kind of get to is phones. The phones are a big challenge because phone calls go up. The challenge we're having is that clients are hanging up, calling back, hanging up, calling back, and so it's hard for us to get a gauge on phone volume, and it's hard for us to get a gauge on timing of phone volume. But we had 14 new people that were added to that team to support calls, right? And we've got more people that are being trained to get those people online as well. So I know that's a little bit of an update. I'm happy to use this time to take questions. I will be as transparent as I can with all of the answers. I'm happy to transition into private lending and IRAs. I will defer a little bit to the group, but I wanted everyone to know we're here because we're committed to the business. I'm here because I'm committed to the business. You guys are the account holders. You deserve better, undoubtedly deserve better. And all I can do is continue to ask for a little bit more patience while we work through those integration headaches. And as we stabilize, if the business is not run in a way that feels, will it be Quest 2.0, NewView 2.0, and exactly the same? No, things do change in integrations, right? It can't be exactly the same. But if it's not what I would consider, pick up the phone with ease, get someone on the phone, get your questions answered, know that what you submitted has been received and that you know it'll be processed in a reasonable time frame. If we're not hitting those benchmarks, you've got my number, call me. And if anyone calls me and says, I've hit my breaking point, I have enough, I totally get it. I don't want anyone to leave. That's not the reason that we acquired the accounts, not the reason we acquired NewView. We want to grow the business and we want to do that in a way that works for everybody. But we are here to support you, and if supporting you is making it easier for you to find another custodian, I'm here to do that too. But I'll just ask that that's our last conversation, not our first conversation. Is that fair? Any questions that you guys have that are pressing? We can certainly, don't want to spend the whole time just on, answering questions. I'll be here the rest of the day. I'll stay as late as I need to today and into the evening. At some point, I do need to get home. I also run Share the Love, which is our 501c3.
Yes.
And so you guys have been incredibly supportive of that. So I do want to say thank you very much for all of the support that you guys have provided there. But we do have a board call tonight, so you'll get me in trouble. Jim gets a pass because of the event. I don't know if they'll give me a pass for not being, but I will stay as long as I need to answer individual questions, take your information, etc. But happy to answer a couple questions, and then we can get into the real
You
fun
want to take
stuff.
a couple publicly? Yeah?
Sure, happy to.
Anyone have a general question? Not like a detailed account question, maybe? Crickets? No, who's got a question? Here we go. Thank you.
So I was a NewView, Kevin Zimmer, New Jersey. I was a NewView customer, happy. I don't recall ever being a Quest, although I had other custodians along the way. Do you know which platform you're probably going to evolve more towards? Like, I was used to seeing what NewView had to present. Do you know if that's the direction you're going, or the Quest direction, or something entirely different?
Yeah, great question, and thank you for being a longtime NewView customer. We appreciate the business and the patience as we get through this. Where are we headed? I guess sometimes it's easy to look in the rearview mirror. One of my favorite quotes is the reason why the rearview mirror is significantly smaller than the windshield, right? Look out the windshield, but glance into the rearview mirror. Where are we headed? I mean, one of the things, and just for those that don't know, I was part of the selling, myself and Glenn Mather, who founded NewView. We sold the company to Inspira. And I share this because, we evaluated a handful of companies. The reason that we decided to sell the company to Inspira was a variety of things. Number one, size and scope. Inspira Financial is a massive company, but we're like a startup. We have 8 million customers. We are a health and benefits, retirement and wealth business. We're a holistic kind of health and retirement solution. We service really all forms of custody of accounts across the globe. So we have a self-directed IRA division, which is the division that I'm part of, and we're obviously talking about. We have a retirement division, which sounds like self-directed IRAs, but it's actually aimed at those that have 401k rollovers that automatically roll over. So if you leave an employer and they notify you, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you've got $5,000 from when you worked here to, in December, you need to roll it over. If you ignore those, they will roll over to Inspira, right? We are the largest automatic rollover business, I believe, in the country. We service almost all of the Fortune 500 and beyond. So, but those are automatic rollovers. They're not alternative asset driven, but the government requires that they be rolled out of those plans. So we're the repository of those. We have a health and benefits team that deals with every kind of account you could imagine, HSA, FSA, COBRA, any sort of employer-based accounts that you establish along the way. Even though your employer may be reporting it to you, you've got $400 saved in your FSA, we are likely, right, one of a handful of companies that would be the custodian of that. So we're feeding that information back. So that's the business. Under our division as well, we also have a 1031 company, which is exciting. So for those of you that are in the real estate side, we have the ability to, under the same roof, manage 1031 exchanges. So coming back to the question, Inspira as a business is continuing to grow and expand. And what I loved about what we're doing on the self-directed IRA side is it's like a blank slate. We know what we do. We know what NewView did. Inspira has their own custody business of self-directed accounts. So it wasn't like a new business, but what they have is resources. Resources that we didn't have at NewView and resources that Quest didn't have. That means deep pockets, big technology teams to be able to go out and make big investments. We are in the process of building out, and we've been working on this, an entirely new platform. So back to the question, it's not NewViews, it's not Quests, it's not Inspira's, it's a brand new platform, right? Now, I want to be careful overselling it too soon because it's all being developed, but the plan this year is to roll out an entirely new platform for self-directed IRAs. We started some of this development work at a very small scale at NewView, so I'm excited to see this vision come to fruition. But that platform is designed to be, when we say self-service, it's not self-service like we're not here. To me, the future of this business is if we don't look like Amazon, right? Think about Amazon. You open the app, you tell it what you want, right? And it happens. And along the way, you're aware of where it goes, right? So I always kind of joke, I ask the team, how good a service does Amazon provide? Everyone's like, great service. I'm like, have you ever called them? How many people here have ever called Amazon? How many people have ordered something from Amazon? We don't want to call anymore. Let's face it, right? I love talking to people, right? I like to think we do call me. Well, we don't want that. We want to be able to digitally identify what our need and want is, and we want to be able to manage that all completely internally, and that's where we're headed. So I know Quest had done a really good job, NewView had done a really good job, but we all got to like the 20-yard line, right? The other thing is that all of the stuff that was built at Quest and NewView was client-facing, which means it was like you do it digitally and then we do it manually, right? This platform is all digital, meaning you put it in digitally, it goes into the same system that we operate and we move it through. So what do I envision and what are we building and what are we making major investments for, multi-million-dollar investments for, is for you to be able to not just look at your account online, not just enter some information and then wait for a phone call or an email of what to do next. It's a full end-to-end solution to not just make investments, but for your borrowers, for your tenants to all make payments so that you don't have to wait for a deposit to post to your account because someone in our office is retrieving it out of a stack of checks and figuring out why Billy or Sally's handwriting is this a 7 or is this a 1? I mean, we do this every day. It's archaic, right? I think we'd all agree. But you should be able, your tenant should be able to go in, your borrower should be able to go in, it should be automatic ACHs, all of that is part of this platform. So I'm excited for that. Our intention and goal is to get that out before the end of the year, like well before the end of the year. I can't make that commitment with full confidence, but I can tell you money's been deployed, teams are set up, they're working through it, developers are already assigned. We're about 50% of the way done with development. I mean, some of this stuff is fully into testing, so excited to see where that goes, but it is an end-to-end platform. You should be able to do every single thing you do in your self-directed account. You should be able to do from your telephone. You should be able to enter it. You should not have to wait for a call or email. You should not have to call to follow up, just like Amazon. Call us when you think you don't know what's going on, but that should be 1 or 2 or 3% of the time, not 100. So that's where we're headed and excited to get there.
Okay. All right. We're going to go into a self-directed IRA panel now. Jason, you're welcome to stay.
All right.
By the way, what's your favorite 2 or 3 self-directed IRA accounts? What type do you like personally? Jeff and Jeff, come on up.
Were you asking me that, Jim? Was that?
Yes, no, I'm asking
Oh.
you. Yes, this is part of my transition. I keep things moving.
Perfect. Mine are very simple. Roth, duh.
Bill Cook,
HSA, ESA.
come on up.
So,
Roth, HSA, ESA.
ESA. Yep.
So
All tax efficient.
they're all, well, the HSA and ESA are nice. You get both sides, right?
Yep.
Which is that why
Well,
you
the
like
ESA,
those?
you don't get both sides. The ESA is like a Roth.
Okay.
But what I love about the ESA, for those that are not using it, I've got 2 kids. Every time anyone gives them money or anything, I take it and I deposit it into their account. And at the end of the year, whatever the difference is between what they got and the $2,000, I'm on the hook for.
Okay.
Super
All
cool
right.
tool. All
Where
tax-free
did
when it's
Rita
withdrawn.
go? Rita? She was going to grab us. You didn't know Jeff volunteered you, did you? You didn't tell him?
Of course not.
Okay, come on up.
Wouldn't do that for me.
Who else lends a lot out of your self-directed IRAs? Come on up. Oh, yeah, Mr. Yeah, come on up. This is how this works. We're a Dealmaker family, if you noticed. It's sort of like a reunion for those of us that have been here before. Now you're inducted in.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, we're going to talk about lending from our self-directed IRA accounts. And Mike, do you want to come up?
Yeah. Mike wants to come up. Mike wants to come up.
Mike, come on up. How many of you guys know Treehouse Mike? Treehouse Mike. Come on, Mike. No, but you borrow, so that's okay. How many TikTok, like millions of views on TikTok? How many of you guys are on TikTok? Huh? Where's Lisa Engelhart? Is she in here? She loves TikTok. All right, Mike, how many people on TikTok?
Oh, I don't know, 80,000.
80, a lot of views, millions of views. Come on up, guys. We're going to talk about, I'm going to have this $10 Pepsi here. Oh, boy, I thought it was
Ooh,
a
these are like back
Diet
heavy.
Pepsi, and it's regular. I am
Yeah, but
screwed.
they're like
What?
weighted in the back.
No, Mike, come on up. Treehouse Mike, I got a new nickname for you. Wander Chat. Mike. Hey, can we do this? Well, Mike's coming up. Let's sing happy birthday to Mike. You ready? Happy birthday to you. To you. Happy birthday.
Okay.
Happy birthday to you. And I don't sing, dance, or act. That's all I got.
Right? Can I
All right.
All right.
Woo!
Happy birthday.
All right. So what I want to do is start with sharing what you do with your IRAs.
So I'm a private lender, and I use my IRA money for that, a Roth IRA. And then I recently sold my company, so I have no more employees, so I created a solo 401k, and I also lend out of that.
So the limit on a solo 401k is $70,000 you can put in.
I rolled over, I had nothing in it.
Okay.
I rolled over from a contributory IRA.
How did that work?
Worked out great, because it slid right into the yeah, right into the, and one of the big things with the solo 401ks is I can buy real estate and borrow money with it and not create a UBIT situation. So with an IRA you do, so.
All right. Bill, what do you do with your IRA? Options?
Before we get there, when Watson got done speaking today, I called him in the hallway. I'm not making this up. Jeff and I have been friends approaching 2 decades. We've known each other for a very long time. And my respect for him is way up there. And I told him, I've listened to Jeff present many, many times over the years. And what I saw him do today with the beautiful slideshow, the way he presented, getting down off stage and being in the crowd, I thought today was absolutely the best time I've ever seen him present in my entire life. So, hand to Jeff.
Thank you. You're very kind. When you're in an audience filled with friends, it makes it a lot easier because you just forget and just have fun.
Well, you knocked it out of the park today. And also, so you can temper anything I say from this point forward, you all should know that Michael Hicks and I, we lead something called Backpack RIA. So twice a year, we go out backpacking. In fact, we make it to your May event. Usually we come right off the Appalachian Trail. And so I want you all to know that means that Mike and I sleep together in the woods a lot. So we're very open about this in our relationship. And I have sat on the same log with him and pooped. So we've shared many great times together. So temper anything I'm going to say by the weirdness of that. And to answer the question is, I do use our Roth IRAs to invest with. I invest in, we make loans, so I don't so much buy notes, is I will lend to folks. A lot of what we do is wrapping, so you're going to hear Chuck talk a lot about wrapping. My teacher was Dykes Botiford, and y'all should know that this year 2024, we lost 3 of the huge great ones. We lost Prentice Yates early in 2024.
What a class act he was. He was so quiet.
Yeah, my best friend on earth was Dykes Botiford, and we lost him in the fall of last year, and he was just best of the best. And then at the very end of the year, we lost Jack Shea. So that was 3 huge ones from the Miller crowd in 1 year. Anyway.
How many people have been impacted by one of those 3? I saw them all 3 with me.
Yeah, so great stuff. But anyway, so Kim and I do this together. We have 2 solo 401ks, 1 Roth IRA, and 1 HSA we invest with. A lot of what I do is lending. Like I said, I referred to Chuck. So when Chuck gets up here to explain the wrapping, and that's a big thing of what we do, and that's it.
I do, in my IRA, I do some very boring things. I make loans, and they're usually wraps, and it's really boring. There's nothing exciting going on. And then in my HSA, it's just equally boring. I just make loans. And I just try to make a good loan to a good person on a good property and bring somebody else along with me for the ride. And on an average day, the last 2 loans I did, and Natalie joined me on one of them, and a couple other folks joined me on one of my other longtime lenders, co-lenders joined me on another one. One of them we're going to make about a 60% rate of return on, and the other one's only going to be a measly 38%. We're just very boring.
Don't you love wraps? So both of you mentioned wraps. I love wraps as well. So my question to both of you is, how do you find your co-lenders?
I have a very tight network of friends that I've known for a very long time. So I usually don't have a lot of people in my wraps. So I've kind of strayed away from that sometimes. But I get the same people, and we do the same deals together. It's a very tight network. I've known them for a long time. And one thing that I didn't say is I said that we do a lot of lending. We also do a lot of option work, and most of y'all don't know anything about the option side of our business. But Kim and I, the bulk of our estate is in option work we've done over the last 25 years, and options that we hold and the way those have grown, and a lot of those are held in our self-directs.
Well, you have what box coming up soon?
Well, I'm doing an options class, but what box will be in the fall?
Sorry.
I'm not here to advertise it.
Sorry, when is it?
It's in March. It's on options.
Okay, and
There'll be a flyer.
yeah, I got to dig
Bill
it out
Cook,
of them.
the Bill Cook School of Marketing. I've got a great class, and I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's almost like Dykes Botiford and Pete Fortunato's marketing. Almost. I mean, they literally just would put flyers in envelopes, put address labels on them, and it's like, if you're supposed to be here, you'll be here. Otherwise, you're not. That's
I love what Pete says. If God wanted them to be there, they'd be there.
yeah.
Jeff, how about you? How do you find your co-lenders?
I find my co-lenders through networking. What I find is that when I talk about what I do, it's really boring. There's not a lot of glamour. We don't tear down houses. We don't do all sorts of fun and exciting things. I get people that occasionally walk up to me and go, "Hey, the next time you got a deal like that, let me know." And I say, "Okay, I'll have you on the list." Yeah, that's about it.
So your network really is important,
My network is,
especially this year, Jeff Watson. Right? Yeah. I mean, I know a little behind your curtain.
oh, Jim. 2024 was the worst professional year of my life. I saw the other side of what Jason was talking about.
You were on the board.
I was on the board of Quest. You never felt the fury of the Texas Division of Banking like we did. You weren't threatened with incarceration and arrest like we were. Even though they'd seen it all along, and now all of a sudden they didn't like it. They just don't like self-directed IRA companies in Texas. That's the bottom line. But my network, and there are people in this room, and people who should be in this room but can't be in this room, that came through for me in a huge way. And I will tell every one of you, your network is deeper and stronger and wider than you think it is.
Powerful thought.
And I am so incredibly grateful for the network that I have developed. It was deal saving multiple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jason,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Wait,
He's mic'd up.
Jeff
He's
is
good.
battle tested, let's just say, and I didn't go through near the, 1/10 of what he had to deal with. But yeah, the entire Quest team, I'll just say this, and I think the world of the group, and I've known Quincy 20 years, and great people that did great things. And, the state of Texas did no favors to anyone, but I can tell you this, Quincy had one care in the entire world, and it was clear from day one, and it never wavered, and that was my clients need to be in a safe haven. And I won't suggest you were in an unsafe haven, right? That I don't want you to read between the lines and suggest I'm implying anything, but the fastest that you could get out of Texas and out of the wrath of some of their decision making.
Progressive, liberal, bureaucratic
But
decision
Texas
makers.
is so conservative.
Not inside those administrative
Oh.
agencies, they're not.
Yeah.
They're populated with people who've never earned a real dollar in their life.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I don't want to
different.
take us down that
Okay.
rabbit hole, but I want to echo Jeff's sentiments. And
It's hard to be because Inspira is out of Illinois, which is very liberal.
well, and believe it or not, the state of Illinois, from a regulatory standpoint, is I say we. I came from where we were chartered out of South Dakota, and very similar. When I say fair as a regulator, expectations, do the right thing. Make sure that every penny's accounted for, but logical. And let's just say not everything's as logical as it should be and could be, but just know that everything that Quincy ever did and every decision he made was geared never once around him. And
I appreciate you saying
telling you what most of you already know. But
that. How many of you
for
guys
what
are
that's
grateful
worth.
for Quincy Long? Oh, yeah.
Good.
He's doing really well, I think.
Yeah,
He's
I'll
doing
ask
quite
him.
well.
I've got a board meeting with him later
He
this
was
week.
going to
I'll let
come
you know.
and couldn't make it.
He's
Yeah.
he is doing much better than he was.
Yeah.
As everybody knows, he's really struggled with Parkinson's, and while he was defeating Parkinson's and getting his life back, getting his health back, some other things happened that just blindsided him, and he had to fight through this again, and he fought through it. Quincy is an incredible fighter. He will not ever quit. He will not ever quit.
Yeah.
Smartest,
Winners
one of the
never
smartest
do.
guys I've ever met.
Winners don't quit.
Yep.
Mike
Yeah.
Hicks, what do you do with your IRAs?
We do a lot of the similar things. So we do some wraps. I picked that up from Dorsey Botiford, Dyke's.
Yes.
Dorsey. Dorsey's the best.
So yeah, Dorsey was great. I've done a few options. Picked that up from Bill and Pete.
Yep.
And then I've actually, one of the favorite things I've done is to buy a property and then turn and sell it with terms.
Oh.
So turn that
Nice.
back into
Those work good in IRAs.
yeah, it worked well.
Let's talk about your tree houses, Treehouse Mike. They're not the easiest thing to finance in the banking world.
No.
Your container homes made out of metal. How many of you guys have seen Mike's Wander Chat videos? I posted one on my Facebook group last week.
Thank you.
But, financing that's tricky, so you got to do it privately. So how do you do that?
So all of our builds to date have been done with self-directed IRAs or private lenders. So coming to events and networking and
How do you
just
structure them? How long and how do you?
Yeah, sorry, I'll get it. I hate putting that thing right in my face, but anyway, yeah. So how do we structure the? Yeah. Hey, Bill gives the best leg rubs. I'm just going to tell you.
Whoa. TMI.
But so every that's what I like about private lending is every deal can be different. So if lender A over here has a box that fits this criteria, I try to structure my deal around lender A. If lender B has a different criteria and wants a different term, I don't want balloons. I will not set any of them up with a balloon.
Don't they say balloons are for clowns?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. But I don't want to set up with a balloon. I feel like that's setting myself up for failure.
How long
2 or 3
are your
years out.
notes on these creative builds?
Anywhere from 10 to 30. It just depends.
10 to 30 years.
It depends on what that investor wants.
Without a bank.
Without a bank.
That's possible.
Haven't been since 2012.
So how do you structure that? Is it like one person funds the whole thing? It's not interest only because it's paid off?
A lot of times it's a lender that's, again, there's the A box and the B box. The A box wants a short term, 6 month,
How
get that
many
money
are in
back
the
quick.
A box? Short term, yeah.
They want that 10 to 12%, and they want it back quick. So I will lean on those lenders to fund the build,
Okay.
and then I will refi with the lender B that wants 8% consistent, 6 to 8% consistent, and
So you do 8%, 10, 20 years, you can amortize, and in 10 to 20, do they sell their note or do they stay in typically?
typically they stay in.
So they'll stay with you for that 10 to 20 years. You've got great cash flow because you're a unique space on Airbnb, never needing a bank. How many of you guys would like to find some longer term funding at like 8% like he's talking about? It's pretty nice, right? I've got some, but I would love more. Is it hard to find, Mike?
It's a little harder than it used to be, especially. Yeah.
Is it typically non-real estate people? Or some of
the
each?
majority of them, the longer term, are non-real estate.
How many of you
Yeah,
guys?
so I don't feel like I'm going to come here and find somebody to lend me money at 8%.
Well, you never know. Let's just try. How many of you guys have money that's been sitting in your self-directed IRA account for a while uninvested? Anybody want to admit it?
It's okay to admit it. Yeah.
There's billions, I believe, right, Jason?
Trillions.
Just sitting.
Yeah.
Trillions.
And that's the thing. I
That's
heard
the opportunity.
Jeff talking about it the last time I heard him speak at Cichocki. Leaving that money sitting idle, waiting for that 12% loan for 6-8 months, when you could have put it to work at 8%, you're going to get the same return. So, there is the velocity of money if you're wanting to work it that hard, if you're wanting to create a lending business. But if you're wanting to put your money to work and be safe and secure, there's the other route.
Who's got a question on how to invest the self-directed IRA for lending or something else that you'd like to ask our panel? Okay. Patty. Here we go. Thanks. Go ahead. Tell everyone your name and where you're from.
Yeah, hi, Glenn Friedman from Jacksonville, Florida. So, Jason, you're talking about all of the funds that are sitting there not invested. If you have a checkbook control IRA, which I do through NewView, and I have payoff coming in, but I don't have a place to put that, right now it's sitting in a bank earning 0, are there any options for either brokerage accounts or high yield savings accounts that my LLC can move the money temporarily?
Yeah, so I'm going to...
What a great question that was.
Yeah, I'm going to break it into two.
All right.
So if you have a checkbook LLC, for those that don't know, very high level, it means that you've asked your custodian to park the money into an LLC that you've set up and created specifically for this IRA, and then that LLC goes and makes investments on behalf of the account. If you have that structure, the LLC is responsible to figure out what to do with the idle cash. So to your question, you could go to Charles Schwab, you could open up, they may not let you, but you may have to find an institution. There are institutions that will, but let's just use Schwab for an example, or Fidelity. You can go and open it up. Now, because it's a single member LLC, because it's tied back to a custodian, there's a lot of governmental requirements on verifying the identity of the account owner, and it's hard for them to verify the identity of the account owner if it's an IRA. So you can move that money back to your custodian, right? In this case, Inspira now. Or if your account doesn't have a checkbook IRA and it sits with Inspira, Inspira has access and can provide access to public equities. So we are not a brokerage. So if you're looking to open up, or come to us and, day trade, it's not the right platform, right? You're going to want to find a brokerage firm that can do that portion for you. But if you want to buy, let's say, put 20 grand into Microsoft today or this mutual fund, and then 8 months later when you got an investment, sell it, right? And it's all what we call same day trades, right? We can support that. We can handle almost every public equity. That's something Quest did not do at all. NewView did that. Inspira does that. So that's an added value and advantage to those of you that have come onto the Inspira platform. We also have a relationship with Gemini. So for those, I've gotten it a couple times today. If you want to trade cryptocurrencies, we are, again, not a brokerage. We're not a storage, cold or dry, cold or warm or dry, whatever the right terminology is. But we can set up a trading platform, an account inside your Inspira account with Gemini, and you can directly trade cryptocurrencies there. But if you're running into issues with the LLC, it's because they can't verify the identity. The easiest thing is to move it back to us, right? So that technically you'll actually mail a check or send a wire as a distribution from the LLC or earnings received from the LLC. Tell us what to do with it. In this case, buy a stock, an equity, a mutual fund. And then when you're ready to make a new investment, if you want it to go through the LLC, you've got to have us send it back to the LLC, and then you would issue the loan or whatever you're doing from the LLC, if that makes sense. You've added an extra kind of party in between the investments in your IRA. If you don't have the LLC, all done under the same account, super self-contained. Hopefully that made sense.
Jason is sharp. Okay, who else has, we have time for another. Forrest from Dealmaker Richmond. Can you catch my mic? All the way in the back here by these two wonderful.
So this is for Jeff. I would like for you to give me the case, Watson. I would like for you to give me the case study of a 60% rate of return without too much privacy issues, please.
Oh, how do you earn 50, 60%? Well, wraps. Well, go ahead, Jeff. Make it easy. 8th grade level.
I'm thinking about what he said without too many privacy concerns.
Okay.
Let's just put it this way: it's a Switzerland-based hedge fund that I was able to leverage a loan to. That because of the way I wrapped and so on, I'm going to get a 60%.
There's a lot of inputs and variables on wraps.
That's the best
Have you
I
guys
can tell
noticed
you.
that?
A, you got to be an accredited investor. B, you've got to have your network include people that live and do business in Europe. And C, you've got to be willing to read through a lot of stuff.
But you can do wraps and create tremendous ROI.
You can create fantastic returns domestically with just the way you structure. But yeah, I mean, that one was, those are once in a lifetime deals.
We're going to do 2 hours on wraps tomorrow.
Yeah.
Can you add a case study? Jeff?
I've got one in the documents that's a pretty simple little case study that shows how to take a bunch of small accounts and put them together and do a deal. That's
You guys like
what's
that
in
one?
there.
Is that good?
Because that I think speaks
Chuck's
to a need
got
that a
some
lot
too.
of people have.
Chuck, you've got how many case studies? 4
Yep.
case studies.
Yep.
Okay? And I'm telling you, I am in love with wrap financing, and that's why I've got 2 hours in the schedule this week with Chuck, because it's powerful. But the way that you do the structuring and how high you leverage and the points you charge and the interest, there's like 7 inputs that determine your ROI. And anyways, I've got more on that coming later. Go ahead.
Wait, quick comment also. You can just go out and do something like a Lonnie deal. On our Lonnie deals, for us to make 250 to 450%, our yield, not percent, but yield on our money and our IRAs, that's common. That's not and it's not the interest I'm charging. I'm not doing wraps. It's just a Lonnie deal. You're buying a mobile home for this and you're selling it for this, and the yield is absolutely incredible. So don't think you have to go overseas on all the stuff Jeff said. Just go buy a trailer and become trailer park trash.
First 2 deals I did inside of my Roth-owned trust were Lonnie deals. You buy a mobile home for $3,000, you sell it for 12 at an 18% rate of return. Figure that out. Yeah, Lonnie Scruggs, Deals on Wheels. I mean, folks, if you know how to use a financial calculator, just take what I just said right there. $3,000 is your present value. You have financed $12,000 at 18% for the next 10 years. Run the math.
Stick that in your Roth IRA.
Yeah, well, that's where they were. Yeah.
Okay, clarification question. I think, Jeff, you were the one that said, Nick, you really can't do that. So using your self-directed, checkbook self-directed to do a flip, to purchase a flip, that's a no-go, correct?
No.
Okay.
86%, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so going back to you, because Bill ran the numbers like I just articulated with an 86% rate of return. Okay, so right there in the backyard of a mobile home park, your self-directed IRA-owned LLC can buy, fix, and resell a property, and all the profit goes back into the LLC, which is owned by your IRA. So it's all tax-free until you start to consistently, routinely do it where it looks like a business. And then it becomes subject to unrelated business income tax.
Got it. So what would be the cutoff point? How many of those do we have an idea?
What looks like a consistent, repeatable, sustained activity? More than 2?
Okay.
More than 5?
More
It's
than
gonna be
20?
Way less than 20. Way less than 20.
All right, Mary Hart is in the house.
I just had a quick comment about that, and I agree with everything that Jeff just said. But you also have to be careful not to do the work, right? Because, yes, you cannot provide services to your IRA. So if you're the contractor and you're doing all the work, you're doing a prohibited transaction.
Yeah, and I'll just
I
add
don't
a
want to
quick,
do any of the work. Do you, Patty?
Jim, if I
You're
could add a
done.
quick comment on
Yes.
this, and this
Yeah.
is kind of what I
Go
love
ahead.
about the philosophical side of self-directed accounts.
That's a good point.
Every single person should have, some philosophy of what fits best for them inside a self-directed IRA. So first, you got to follow the rules, right? To Jeff's point, to Mary's point, like the rules come first. Second becomes, where are you in your investing career? So I'll use Jeff as an example. He's sitting up here, and we all know he's an expert in a lot of this stuff, and he's done this for a long time. He may make 20 investments this year. Not all 20 fit best in an IRA. So the real power of this is figure out where you are in your journey and then take a step back and ask, if I could decide, does this investment fit better inside or outside? If it's a rule issue, by default. But if it's not a rule issue, some of these deals, like taking that $3,000 and, mobile home and selling it for 18, like that's a big win. Why do you want to pay tax on that, right? But then you got this interest that comes in over time. You want that in your account. But some of these other real estate deals where you may have some write-offs and some other things where, you may return 40%, but you may be able to clip some of that off based on it being real. You need to look at that. So I think sometimes there's this idea that let's just put every single investment we have in a self-directed IRA, and if that's your only source of money, sure, not a bad way to go. But real success is when you start compartmentalizing these investments. We talk about buckets of money, right? HSA, ESA, Roth, traditional, non-taxable. You should be looking at your investments and figuring out as you go where they fit. And that's where I think folks like these groups, ask people, right? And if you can get to that point in your investing career, that's when you really start to hit the home runs in the right place and the grand slams go into the right account.
Wow. Well, you're a great communicator, I think. Wow, I'm impressed. Okay, all right, here's what we're going to do. Give everyone a round of applause. Thank you. We got another panel coming. Hey, I don't know, like Dealmaker, part of what I love is the panels. Do you guys love them? So we got another one this afternoon. It's one that we started last year in March. It's called the $1 Billion Panel. It's about people that raise private capital. And we're going to do that in a little while. You looking forward? So if you are raising private capital, I would love to have you participate, Tim Davis, just saying. And others, Rebecca, well, I don't know where Rebecca went. But, oh, Rebecca, there you are. I mean, you guys are syndicating. Syndicators raise millions of dollars. So it's going to be great. And Tony Williams and others, they have large funds. I'd love to have you participate. Randy, sorry. So that's coming up in a little while after I speak. My next session is right after break, and it's on raising private capital. So it's for you guys that are borrowers and investors and things like that. Let's take 30 minutes to network. And as Jeff Watson just said, your network is your what? Oh, louder than that. Stand up and say it. Network equals? I can't hear you. Network equals? All right. Thank you. Enjoy your break. Thank you.